Okay, I'm late to the party with this one, but let me move my camera a little bit. I think the mic level should be fine here. Now, I have a lot of videos on my list on Netflix, and some of them have been there for a long time. I'm sure I'll get to them eventually, but I got to one today, and I was very surprised by it. Bullet Train. Yeah, so Bullet Train came out a while ago, 2022, so it's already a couple of years old, and based on a novel, but it's based on a novel called Maria Beetle, written by Kotaro Isaka. Kotaro Isaka is 52, and he writes mystery fiction, and this book, Maria Beetle, was made into a feature film and released, I believe, exclusively on... Well, it had a box office revenue, so it must have been released in theaters as well as online. Now, one thing I want to point out before I get into it, there was some criticism of representation of race in casting. Now, there was a Hispanic character, a Russian character played by a British person. There were some English characters, one white, one black. Of course, there's Brad Pitt. And there were some Japanese actors like Hiroyuki Sanada and other characters, Masaoki. But I guess the book is all Japanese people. I'm not sure. I haven't read it. But there was some criticism that it was whitewashing because it used a lot of white actors. But there's one white British guy, and there's Brad Pitt. And I guess Michael... I keep want to say Michael Sheen. But it's Michael Shannon. Michael Shannon. Right? That's three white people. That's not a lot. But in any case, the author said, this is from Isaka. Isaka defended the film and described his characters as ethnically malleable, maintaining that his original Japanese setting and context were irrelevant as they were not real people, and maybe they're not even Japanese. So I haven't read the book. Maybe the book uses all of their code names like Ladybug and the Hornet and, Japanese translations of those. I'm not sure. But in any case, let's look at 12 Monkeys. And let's look at California with a K. Those were two of Brad Pitt's best performances. Burn After Reading, he played a supporting role as an aerobics instructor, as a personal trainer. Brilliant and comedic, great performance. In Seven, he didn't have a lot of dialogue, but I've often maintained that when Brad Pitt looks ugly, his performance rises because a lot of times he was cast for his looks and not necessarily given a lot to do as an actor, per se. But 12 Monkeys, California, and I'll throw in Seven, and I'll throw in Burn After Reading, which is, George Clooney as well in that. Very, very good performances. But this film, I think this might be, for me anyway, his best performance. He was so natural, so conversational, so laid back, often in scenes by himself, talking to himself. And it was a very natural performance. And I think this was very good work by Brad Pitt. Yeah, I think this was better than his performance in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. He didn't have to do that much in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, although it was a good performance. But this one, yeah, his character is very memorable. And I'll say it straight up. If they follow up on this world and these characters, I'm more than happy to watch another film with this this tone. It reminded me of a lot of other things. but not to the point where I felt it was familiar or predictable. I really liked how lots of little things started to join up toward the end. All of these coincidences paid off. All of these little things paid off, and you couldn't predict them. You couldn't see them coming. There was one thing. Lemon. Tangerine and Lemon, the twins, talked about wearing the vest, and Lemon said he didn't wear the vest because it wouldn't protect him if he got shot in the head. And then his brother, Tangerine, said, but it'd protect you if you got shot in the chest. And then at the end, I thought, what if he's wearing the vest? You know, that has to be a Chekhov's gun. There's going to be a payoff. And sure enough, he's wearing the vest. So that one, it came to me, you know, just when they went back to the bathroom to check on the body. I thought, he's going to wake up and he's not going to be hurt because he had the vest on in reality and he was lying to his brother. And then at the end, when the truck comes out of nowhere and smashes into the girl, the daughter, the prince, and the fruit falls out, I just thought tangerines, right? And then the little sweet cherry on top, who is driving it? That 10 minutes earlier little scene in the credits. So I think this really delivered well. It was very, very fun. It was fun and very improbable, but it all made sense. Why is the bullet train so empty? Why are there so few passengers when they get to the end? Well, because the bad guy bought all the seats. He bought all the tickets to ensure that it would be empty. Why are all of these assassins on here? They're all brought in for certain revenge aspects. And then Brad Pitt's, you know, this peace-loving, zen, you know, meditation-loving character is talking about how revenge is just a waste of time. You have to let go of these things. And, you know, find some inner peace and like who you are, look in the mirror and like who looks back at you. The whole thing, like there's a wall between us, but, you know, in every wall there is a window. Oh, no, there's a door. And we saw a lot of doors and windows in this movie. I'm not saying that that's necessarily something that the author was using metaphorically, but all in all, I'm glad I clicked it. I'm glad I decided I'm going to watch this movie today because it really entertained me. I was not prepared for that. There are a lot of throwaway, generic kind of films on Netflix, often with similar actors in them. And part of me was being cynical, and I thought this might be one of those. It's not. It was really, really fun. Yeah, I won't say what it reminds me of because I don't think that's necessary. I don't think that's relevant. But I'd say Bullet Train is worth a watch. It's very fun. It's got nice humor, nice comedy. It's got nice physical action scenes. It's very, very plausible. People get hurt. Nobody is really superhuman, although it keeps escalating, and it's improbable, but at the same time, it fits in with what's occurring. And the fact that they survive it with damage is just something you deal with in these kind of light action movies. But very likable lead character, very likable secondary characters, very nice use of Hiroyuki Sanada, and all these payoffs. Something here, 40 minutes later, there's a payoff. Something here, 30 minutes later, there's a payoff. Very, very well crafted. And it's not, an Oscar level film. It's not like an art film. It's not looking out for any particular awards, but it just wants to entertain you. And I think it did that. I'd happily follow more missions with Ladybug. And he's a snatch and grab person. He's not an assassin, but he's filling in for an assassin who had a stomach ache or had some problem with his stomach. So it's just a mistaken identity thing. But at the same time, he's connected in some ways to some of these other assassins on the train. So there are a lot of misunderstandings and mistaken identities in this film. But it all makes sense. And I think Bullet Train, I'm sorry I left you languishing in my list on Netflix. I should have given you a chance before. It's just fun. I think the reviews it got like a B plus from audiences. It got like a 60s, mid-60s review from critics. I think that's all fair. But, you know, what are you comparing it to? You know, for what it's doing really well. It's executing its game plan flawlessly. And I think, I'll say it again, I think this is maybe Brad Pitt's most comfortable, most casual, most natural and relaxed performance that I've seen him do. It really clicked for me in the scene where he's fighting in, I guess it's a bar car or some kind of bar car. And he keeps saying to the guy while he's fighting, "I don't even know you. I don't even know you." And just the way he's delivering those lines, this disbelief, while defending himself, I thought, you know, I'm not distracted. When I watch Mission Impossible, I see Tom Cruise. When I watch anything with Tom Cruise, I usually see Tom Cruise. It's a distraction. He looks the same in most films. He plays the same type of character in most films. He doesn't really try hard. He is a brand. When I see Dwayne Johnson, The Rock, in a film, I say that's The Rock. Although in Jumanji, he was playing against type. But most of his outings, he plays the same type of character. So Jumanji, I'll give him props for that. But that's not what he usually does. This film, you know, I don't really have a sense of a Brad Pitt film. He's not that type of an actor. He plays various roles, dramatic roles, action roles, romantic roles. But comedic roles, this was very, very nice. So I'm going to give Bullet Train a thumbs up. I'm going to say it's a good performance by Brad Pitt. It used all of his secondary characters very well. It had a well-crafted script where all of these, you know, diverse and divergent things synchronized at the end, and it all made sense. And it reminded me of a funny John Wick in a way. You know, this could easily be a franchise. There's nothing I've seen that says there's a sequel in the works. So I'll try to look out for that. If they made a sequel, I'd probably watch it. But if they're looking at just pure box office, if this was a theatrical film, I don't think it brought as much as they'd want for a Brad Pitt vehicle. But if this is a streaming-centric series, I think it is worth pursuing a sequel. So that is my take on Bullet Train. If you've seen it, did you like it? Did you hate it? If you haven't seen it, have I convinced you to give it a shot? I'll leave it at that. Thanks for watching.